I wanted to respond to this comment and others similar to it where people are saying, what you're saying about the AG of Kansas not wanting the Kansans to get benefits is not accurate. I'm a lawyer in real life. I don't play one on television. I take my job and my duties as an attorney very seriously. I don't put stuff on social media that is untrue. So I just wanted to respond to this. And this person says, I don't support the AG of Kansas, but I saw your comment. There were some others. The other people may have deleted theirs. So I want to show you what he has actually filed. There is no doubt that he does not want the citizens of Kansas to have SNAP benefits. This is not rage bait on my part. So let's look at the actual brief that he filed. Here's the brief that was filed on behalf of the AG of Kansas, the brief of amicus curiae, the state of Kansas, in support of the defendants. Right off the bat, in the very title, he is telling you he is supporting the defendants, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, who is advocating that people are not going to should not be entitled to SNAP benefits. Then there's a table of contents, table of authority. Somebody had to research all these cases. They put effort into filing this brief. It was not something random. Then here's his introduction and interest of the amicus curiae. And he says right in the first sentence, Kansas Governor Laura Kelly once again improperly appears in this court. He goes on to say at the very end, now he does talk about some lawsuit he's trying to enforce to get data regarding SNAP recipients in Kansas, but this is separate from that. And he says, but her actions cement that she only cares about making things harder for President Trump, not easier for Kansans. Harder for President Trump when Kansans are the ones who are about to lose their SNAP benefits. Then he goes on to offer his arguments for why she should be dismissed from this lawsuit, why he is the only person who could potentially bring such a lawsuit. He says here, but even assuming that Governor Kelly had some limited authority to seek redress for injuries to her role as a constitutional officer, this suit would necessitate broad authorization she lacks. He's saying she doesn't have authorization to ask this court to give SNAP benefits to Kansans. And the complaint facially establishes that her alleged injuries are not specific to her office, but instead are materially the same as those asserted by her state co-plaintiffs and are, if anything, injuries that only the Attorney General could vindicate. Now let's break this down. So he is saying here that her complaints has nothing to do with her office. Her co-plaintiffs, the people who are asking the court to provide benefits, he says they're the same as those people, what they're saying. And if anybody could do anything about that, it's me, the Attorney General, and I'm not doing anything about it. Then he goes on to say the Attorney General thus has the requisite full autonomy to initiate and control the state's litigation in federal court, and that it's critical that the state speak in one unified voice. And you can read everything else he says on this page, but he's saying she's not speaking for us. That's not what I want to say. I don't want these people to have SNAP benefits is essentially what he is saying. There is no other reason for him to try to have the governor dismissed from this lawsuit. And he goes on to say that even when the governor or the legislature tries to direct the Attorney General to litigate in state trial court, the Attorney General still has the final say. He's saying, I get the final say. I get to say whether we're going to litigate on behalf of Kansas for SNAP benefits. So he goes on, and this heading says it all because Governor Kelly is trying to sue on behalf of the state. She lacks standing. He's saying she can't do it. He says, rather, she has alleged general harm to a state agency, loss of funding for DCF, effectively and improperly seeking to represent the state in this court. Loss of funds to DCF because they're not receiving SNAP benefits. That's what your governor, the governor of Kansas, is trying to rectify, and your AG is opposing. The defendants have already contested the plaintiff's standing. The defendants, the USDA, the Trump administration, have already said she shouldn't be part of this case. and the subject matter jurisdiction, their opposition to the motion for emergency temporary restraining order. And he says, I'm providing you some additional reasons why Governor Kelly lacks standing. And he says, tellingly, Governor Kelly cites no Kansas constitutional provisions or statutes that have been or are or will be rendered wholly unenforceable due to the temporary loss of SNAP funding. He is telling you there's no Kansas law that comes into play because there's a loss of SNAP funding. He goes on to talk about her trying to represent the state of Kansas. He says she lacks the ability to bring the state of Kansas into this litigation. And he says, for the foregoing reasons, the court should dismiss Governor Kelly and her claims. Chris W. Kobach, there it is. If you don't now believe that the AG of Kansas does not want Kansans to receive SNAP benefits, you don't want to believe it, and that's fine. That can be your position, but don't tell me that I'm just posting things for rage bait. I am not. In the very first video, I was actually reading from the complaint. I was not making things up. Let me know what y'all think in the comments.